Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's jump straight in to today's first story. And now that Christmas is out of the way, all those Christmassy stories will be coming forward as well. And this one's from iGrandma632, who says, "Am I the arsehole for being upset that I won't see my grandkid for Christmas and calling out my daughter? I need an outsider opinion. I, 46 female, have been having problems with my daughter, Sarah, 24. It began when she eloped with her husband 3 years ago. Me and my husband were really sad that we couldn't see her get married or even know about it until it was over. We were sad but got over it. It was her day, and if she didn't want anyone there, then that was that. We talk on the phone or met up at least every week, so it was a huge surprise. Then they moved down 2 states. It would be a trip to visit, so we still talk on the phone more instead of visits. So for holidays we would visit or they would visit. This year at Thanksgiving, she brought a surprise. Her son, Dave, 1 month. I didn't even know she was pregnant. We talked all the time and nothing. Again, was sad we missed such a large milestone in her life, but didn't say anything. We were happy to meet the grandbaby. I called today to ask what they wanted me to bring out for the baby for the Christmas visit. The old baby bed and whatnot. Sarah told me that they will not be coming up for Christmas. I asked if we were going down this year. She said that no, just nuclear family for Dave's first Christmas. I asked if we could FaceTime Christmas morning or that day to see Dave and their tree, and she said no. After that conversation, I talked to my husband. We are both sad again and tired of missing milestones in Sarah's life. I sent Sarah a text that me and her dad are going to take a step back. Low contact. She called and asked what this was about. I told her and it broke into an argument. That it is her life and she can do what she wants with her kid and so on. I told her she clearly doesn't want us involved in her life and we are stepping out for now. She called me an ass. So, am I the arsehole here? I need a second opinion." And people in the comments were obviously confused. They saying like, why did she elope? What's going on? It feels like there's missing info. So people were asking various questions. So I tried to look up some of that information. Anti-Fascist says, info. I get the feeling there is a whole lot you didn't say. Kids don't tend to distance themselves like this unless their upbringing was traumatic in some way. So how strict were you when you raised your daughter? Were you judgmental? Were you unaccepting? OP said, "It was pretty normal. She went to public school. Me and my husband both worked and weren't very strict. Just normal rules like keep your room clean and whatnot. She went to college, became a nurse. All through college she would visit often. It was pretty normal. We still talk to each other for an hour each week. She still texts me. I just don't get it. If she wanted to be distant, I would think she would be happy we are taking a step back, but she was upset." Ogre Guy responds to that and says, "Info, did you ask why they eloped or why they didn't even mention being pregnant / having a child?" OP responded and said she didn't want to spend money on a big wedding and instead use it for the honeymoon. Also, husband was in foster care and he didn't have family to invite. For being pregnant, she said she forgot to mention it. And OP did also mention after that the husband seems a great guy and there seems to be no red flags around that as well. Disney Foodie 20 says there have to be some missing pieces here. There's no way your relationship with her pre-elopement was healthy, as you're stating, if she's put this much effort into distancing herself from you. And the fact that your gut reaction to disagreeing with her choice was to go low contact instead of talking to her about why she's distancing herself is a huge red flag. Something's not right here. TCT says usually when adult children are hiding big parts of their lives, it's because the person they are hiding it from stomps boundaries. Take a good look at how you've behaved over a lifetime. Did you ignore her boundaries? If not, then it could be her relationship. He could be isolating her and convincing her she needs to stay away. Auntie Dreams Big says, "I would like to hear your daughter's side of the story. There seems to be a lot of missing parts. Also, wanting to have the baby's first Christmas with just a nuclear family is reasonable. FaceTiming all the relatives can be a distraction and ruin the Christmas mood. It just depends on the family dynamic." And one more comment from Striker who says, "Based on this post, not the arsehole. And honestly, it's a fair response to go low contact when someone doesn't seem to want you in their life. Now admittedly, lots of people are obviously jumping on there must be a reason. And they're right, people don't do things for no reason. However, they all seem to automatically assume the reason is on you. There are lots of other possibilities as everyone is influenced by everything around them. Sure, maybe there is something in your past that led to this. Maybe her spouse doesn't like the visits. Maybe her schedule as a nurse means she's having an impossible time balancing everything. The list goes on and on. The fact will remain, though regardless of the reason, that she hasn't made keeping you in the loop about very important events in her life a priority. Until she is willing to give a reason for that or change the behavior, it is perfectly reasonable for you to prioritize your mental health, same as everyone else. And I got to agree with that last comment there. Initially, I was thinking myself that, it could be OP and there's a reason that they pretty much go in no contact with OP at the same time, even though they're talking on the phone, but they don't want face-to-face visits. But I believe that last comment was right in that, there could be a multitude of reasons while someone would avoid seeing their mum, their dad. Sarah might not want OP to see them as a couple because there might be something going on and she might pick up on signs when they are together, even though OP said there's no big red flags, but you never know the in and outs of a relationship really. But there might be more telltale signs when they get together. Again, it could be a whole bunch of reasons. We've seen it many, many times within these stories. Different things pop up. So I guess we'll head straight to that update to find out what happened next. So OP says, I took everyone's advice and it has been a long week for the family. I gave her a call after a lot of people asked me to reach out again and asked her straight up what she wanted. Did she want us out of her life? What is going on? And to please be honest. She was quiet for a bit and hung up after saying give her some time. I thought that was the end of it and she would reach out later or never. Well, on Monday she showed up at our house after an 8-hour drive. Sarah sat both of us down and told us the full story, what was going on. She was happy with eloping, just didn't want to spend money on a wedding. We knew this one. For the baby, she was never pregnant. Her husband cheated on her and got another woman pregnant. Sarah found out about 2 months before the kid was born. She didn't tell us because Sarah knew we would tell her to leave him. 100% true. She wanted to fix the marriage, and in doing that, she kept it a secret so her husband wouldn't get any backlash. She told us the only reason they were able to meet Dave due to the bio mum dropping the kid off so she could visit her family across the country. There is no custody agreement. It's been a huge mess on their end, and the marriage is rough at the moment. Sarah was planning to go to Christmas at our place at the beginning and explain the situation, but Dave would be with bio mum and husband didn't want the secret out. So when we called her saying we were going to take a step back, Sarah was very upset. She thought she was losing her family over a secret to protect her husband. Her husband didn't help since he never had close family, so he didn't understand why she was upset. Sarah and her husband got into a huge argument about the whole ordeal. When I called again, she already made up her mind that she will be telling us and going to Christmas at our house. She took time off and drove down and will stay for Christmas. She doesn't know what she will do with her husband and if she will try to fix it or leave. She did tell us to stay out of it since she wants her decision to be 100% on her. We will respect that, even though we are hoping she leaves him for this stunt. Thank you everyone that commented on the last post. You had some great advice and made us really think what was going on. We may not ever find out what her decision in the end is, if she stayed with him or not, but I just find it incredibly sad that the family almost went no contact because of, his actions in the end. Yes, she tried to protect him, but it just brings me to what was the end game in this? You're going to protect him, you're going to try and say, the baby is yours? How long are you going to be able to keep that up without slipping up or the news coming out or something along those lines? But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if you was OP? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What would you do if you was OP or Sarah? Could you ever see a way of fixing this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from No Review 8351, who asks, am I the asshole for skipping Christmas with my parents since they won't treat me like an adult? I, female 27, have been with my boyfriend 33 for almost 2 years now. We will be getting married eventually, but it's not a priority. My mum won't let us share a bed if we come see them for any reason. When we came over this last summer, my boyfriend suggested renting a hotel so we could have privacy and a comfortable bed. It drove my mum nuts that we bypassed her little rules. She wouldn't drop it the entire time we were there. She made me promise not to do that again. My boyfriend's mum and dad are retired to Mexico and they are really chill, so we made plans to come visit them over Christmas. They are not Christian, so they don't really care when they see their son with regards to religious holidays. We didn't tell my parents we weren't coming. My mum asked me at Thanksgiving if I was going to hold to my promise not to stay at a hotel over Christmas. I answered truthfully that I would not stay at a hotel. I am sitting here on the balcony of my future in-laws condo looking at the Caribbean, waiting for sunrise and enjoying the peace and quiet. I made the mistake of going online yesterday and I saw a bunch of posts from my mum and my sisters about how I was a jerk for lying to them about my plans. I may have been a little tipsy last night because I decided to respond. I said that it was ridiculous of them to try and tell me that I couldn't share a room with my boyfriend, that I was keeping my promise by not staying at a hotel when we were there, and that if they had planned on putting everything on Facebook, I'd be avoiding all visits for the foreseeable future. They took down their post when people started crapping on them for trying to control me, but some people did agree with them. Now they are texting me and calling to say I was an asshole for making them look bad. I asked them if they were trying to make me look good with their posts. They stopped for a while, but there were more texts and voicemail this morning. I'm kind of liking the idea of skipping out on the drama from now on, but I miss my dad and he is blameless in this. Am I the asshole? And just before we go any further into the comments, I just want to say Caribbean is how we pronounce it in the UK. I can see some of you type in there, you cheeky so-and-sos. And we're going to start off with Walnut with Teeth, who says, everyone sucks here. Your mum is horribly controlling. That's not in question, but instead of saying, I won't be spending Christmas with you this year, I'm going to the in-laws, and if I come to you again, we will be staying in a hotel. You lied in such a way that they thought you'd be attending. Instead of acting in the adult manner in which you wanted to be treated, you behaved like a kid. Edit. Wow, now, this kicked off. Thanks for the awards, clearly a mixed bag of responses. Just a little clarification. A lie of omission is still a lie. If you're dealing with a manipulative or narcissistic person, it is all the more important to state your boundary clearly and stick to it. Otherwise, you will leave yourself open to their abusive tactics and flying monkeys. Don't bring yourself down to their level. And for everyone that told me to fuck off or similar, Merry Christmas to you too. Kill 'em with kindness. I love it. Melody Rain says, not the arsehole. This falls under, if all I have to do to make you look like an arsehole is tell the truth. That means you are acting like an arsehole. Kitchen Dismal says, not the arsehole. Don't forget that your dad chose to marry your mum and he's still in the relationship. You don't have to torture yourself with your mother just to keep your dad in your life. He may have some balls to stand up to her and see you without her. If he doesn't, he may be collateral damage as you need to cut contact with him too. He's not blameless if he's fine for your mum to be saying and doing this sort of childish behavior. That makes him an enabler. Having not attained responds to that and says, enabler and victim of abuse is often hard to discern from a brief Reddit post. IDGAF says, everyone sucks here. You should have at least told them you were not coming. You knowingly led your mum on about spending the holiday with them. Everything else might have been avoided. Your mum and sister are arseholes for posting on Facebook and harassing you while you're spending time with your boyfriend's family. I don't get why you have to miss your dad. Can you not hang out with him without your mum and sister? Good luck to you. Seagard says, not the arsehole 100%. I would go no contact. This is one of the very few situations where I would do so because, as you said, they do not treat you like an adult that you are and they're attempting to control you. And no amount of communication will change that. Neither childish, immature, cult-like behavior is okay in my book. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Do you think OP was 100% in the right and, that they just told the truth? Or were you with some of them everyone sucks here that, she purposely led the mum on? Does it matter? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from our astronomer 2471 who says, am I the arsehole for throwing away the elf on the shelf and ruining Christmas for my kids after my husband's prank? For context, this year was the first time we would try the elf on the shelf with our kids. We have 3 kids, Lucas 9 male, Andy 8 male, and Claire 5 female. where Lucas and Andy are from our past relationships. However, Miles, my husband, male 37, has accepted Andy as his. And so did I, female 35, with Lucas. Every Christmas is special for Andy. His birthday is on December 24th. His dad started a tradition here where Santa would have consideration with him for being a kid of Christmas, so he feels magical and special. I always tried to give him that. Last year I left Santa Claus footsteps, ate a carrot and grass he left for Rudolph, stuff like that. My husband doesn't think it's a good idea I do all that for him, and I'm showing favoritism, so we should shut it down. Because of my ex's decision to create a tradition without considering my other kids' feelings. I disagree since I do consider the three of them, but he asked if we could do something else, like the elf on the shelf. I had no problem with it, but I didn't know how that works. Explained to me quickly, and since he was the one who offered, I let him do it. We bought the cute elf. My kids named it Bob. Later, my husband explained them that they should behave and never touch/hold Bob if they don't want it to be naughty. At first, it was cute to see them spy on Bob to try and see it fly each night. Andy was the most excited of all. I found him one night talking with it, asking if Santa still remembered him. But my husband took seriously the behave or Bob would be naughty part. Lucas was his first victim after he didn't do his chores. The next day, his face was drawn on with Sharpie markers. Then Claire, who touched Bob and her favorite onesie, was destroyed. Apparently Bob had cut some pieces of it while she was sleeping. Miles was having fun, but I could see my kids weren't. I talked to him about how we should lower the pranks. He agreed but wanted to catch Andy since he didn't break any rules. I told him that Bob's supposed to tell Santa instead of being naughty. We argued, but he finally agreed. Fast forward, it's Christmas Eve, and in the afternoon we had some of Andy's friends to celebrate his birthday. So the kids were playing in the backyard, but my husband looked sus. I decided to look for Bob. It was supposed to be in the kitchen, but it wasn't there. I asked Miles where it was and he told me, no idea. I started getting paranoid, but Andy asked me if we could cut the cake already. I put my best face on and went for it. The cake was in a box, and when Andy opened the box, he starts crying. I take a look and it's ruined. Bob was covered in all of it, appearing he had been eating the cake. Half of the cake wasn't there anymore. Miles starts laughing, and so did some of the other parents. My blood is boiling, and I grab Bob and throw it in the trash. Then I grab Miles. We have a terrible argument. He calls me an arsehole for what I did to Bob and that I've ruined it. How are we supposed to keep the magic with our kids if I wasn't supposed to touch Bob? Then OP edits the post and says, "Hi everyone, so the response has been really overwhelming. I'm sorry if it took me some time to answer. I was kinda avoiding the post, since I was conflicted by the possible outcome. I'm going through all of your comments, so I can answer some of your questions. I'd also explain things you all have doubts in common. 1. Andy's dad is from Canada. He visits Andy every spring, summer, and on Christmas break. This year, he stayed for his job, so he isn't an absent parent. 2. After Andy's birthday, I told Miles to get out of the house, and so he did. He spent Christmas with my in-laws. I stayed with the kids, and all of them slept in Andy's room. My kids didn't want to leave his brother alone. The next morning, we opened the gifts, and I made sure that Andy could feel special after what happened on his birthday. So I wrote a note from Bob saying that he is sorry if he scared him and his siblings. He didn't do his job correctly, so now he'd be flying to the North Pole with Santa. And when he asked if Santa still remembered the kid of Christmas, he did. Santa was really happy to see him. 3. My kids and I are okay. We're sleeping at my parents' house, and we would celebrate New Year's Eve here too. 4. Yes, Claire was using the onesie while she was sleeping. My husband took the idea out of TikTok. And no, Andy did nothing to even be attacked by Bob. And we start off with Shiny, who says not the arsehole, but Jesus, there's something wrong with your husband. He wanted Andy to do something wrong so he could punish him. Things like destroying their clothes is not a prank, it's a punishment. Your husband is hazing your children. Peregrine says not the arsehole, he ruined the birthday party with his juvenile and sadistic prank, as much as he most likely ruined the joyful and childlike spirit of the occasion for the other two kids with the earlier stupid pranks. What a creepy and horrible Christmas tradition to traumatize your kids with. A doll that watches over them and exacts vengeance. No historian says, I usually don't tend to say this, but this action on your husband's behalf is horrible and worth of divorce papers being delivered. Elf on the Shelf is supposed to be a tradition to keep the kids' spirits and hopes for Christmas, not something that parents can use as an excuse to be bullies with their kids. It's okay to joke with a little, but he took it way too far. Kids remember this kind of stuff, and now Andy would have a terrible core memory of his birthday. Also ask Miles why he was so obsessed on getting Andy. Like, that's what's freaked me out the most. Please, OP, get away from this dude, not the arsehole. And Stellar Manatee says, not the arsehole, but what is wrong with your husband? We do Elf on the Shelf each year, but the elves do shit like hanging candy canes on the tree or making breakfast. Big mess. They absolutely do not meddle with the kids while they sleep or cut up clothes. That's really creepy. Why did your husband get the notion that the elf should punish the child? That just sounds like an excuse to be sadistic. Now, I'm not sure how big Elf on the Shelf is in other places, but I know in the UK it's a pretty big thing. A fair few children have Elf on the Shelf during the December month, but I've never seen it quite go to this level that we're seeing in this. I've heard of stories, where they're hiding around the house every day, like hide and seek kind of thing. I've heard them going to like making a mess, like getting a bag of flour, tipping some on the floor and making a snow angel with it. Those kind of things, harmless kind of things. And then on the 24th of December, you put it with like the mince pie and the carrot and stuff for Rudolph, and then it goes off back to Santa. I've only seen like these crazy ideas come from, from social media, and it just goes absolutely wild with some of them. And you think, oh no, that's not a good idea. Why are you doing that? Like I've seen the Sharpie one online where they record their kid as well and put it online. I'm just like, oh man, why? But anyway, I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if it was you? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, as always, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, and your time, not just towards me, but towards one another as well, is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and just a huge Happy New Year to you tonight. Whatever your dreams, goals, and wishes are for the future, I hope you achieve them. But if you don't, no sweat that I've missed so many of my goals this year, but hey, that's life, right? Much love to you guys, and I'll see you soon.